Hey guys, Furum here, and today I'm going to be showing you the Porsche 911 GT2 RS Clubsport in multiplayer in Asphalt 9 for the second time, this time at max, with only 2 epics away from golden. Ref Chaudhry has kindly given me his races. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already, and enjoy the video. So this car is one that came out in the Porsche update, and I did get it in its special event. I got it at 3 stars. I made a video about that if you would like to see how it performs at a star that most people are going to have probably gotten it somewhere close to. Like, most people don't have this car maxed, and that's why we haven't really gotten a lot of tests as to just how really it does against the other top-end A-class cars, and I really do not know exactly. Now, what I do know is that it is a very agile car, and it could potentially be one of the new kings of the class, but we'll have to wait for some tests to see. Personally, I don't think it is going to be one of the kings on any track. It only goes 230 miles per hour compared to some of the other high-end A-class cars, which can go around 240. So that alone, I think, will not allow it to be a king. That being said, though, it is a very agile car. Its acceleration is very good, although not as good as the likes of the Tech Rules, and its nitro and the handling are quite good as well. Again, though, not the very best. Overall, I would consider it to be a fairly well-rounded car with a definite focus in agility. And the reason why I say pretty well-rounded is because its top speed, well, not the best, certainly isn't too bad, and it allows it to stay up to speed pretty well in multiplayer. Now, all these races were recorded in Platinum League in the Rush season, so there may not have been the very best competition against it, but we will get to see how the car performs at its maximum performance. A multiplayer season for the Lamborghini Scion has come out, and it is a quite fun car to drive at max. Unfortunately, the season does not have unlimited fuel. Yeah, that is one thing that I would have liked to see in it, because again, it's a quite fun car to drive and I would have liked more time with it, but we've got 3 races every 6 hours, or more if you have bought any of the Legend passes. But I'm still going to make a video about it, still going to see just how high I can get in it. And one thing about the Scion that I did not actually learn until recently, I think it was a comment that pointed out to me, is that that car's perfect nitro is faster than all of its other kinds of nitro, just like the Vanda and the Nismo and the Taycan. And I don't know how many people knew this, or was it just me being out of the loop? But yeah, without that, it goes like 238 or so if you're just in single nitro. But if you go up to perfect nitro, you go up to 244 miles per hour. So that's a 6 miles per hour increase, like 10 kilometers per hour increase. That's very good if you're doing multiplayer, especially once you get into the higher tiers, the higher leagues of it, like in the top, I don't know, a couple hundred or something like that. That's going to become very useful. And I believe Shockwave is probably the slowest one as well. The good thing about that car, just like it was with the Nismo and the Vanda, is that it actually has quite a good nitro efficiency. Because one thing I remember about the Taycan was that its perfect nitro did not last long enough to be able to maintain it for a long period of time. Go check out my video about that if you haven't seen it. Bebop94 gave me some races in it, and that's what he told me about it. So he went into perfect nitro a lot of the time. Because while it is obviously not as fast as perfect nitro in that car, it's definitely faster than if you just weren't using nitro at all. Thankfully though, the Scion doesn't have that problem, and I was just thinking, wouldn't it be a bit of a nightmare if we got a car whose perfect nitro was quite a bit faster than the rest of the nitros, but its nitro efficiency was even worse than the Taycan's? I hope Gameloft doesn't do that. And Chaudhry rounds the final bend to take the victory in this race. So about the Jesko event, it hasn't gone quite as well as I would have liked. I'm currently battling somebody for 4th position, because there are 3 people in my tier 2 that have just been getting slightly better times than everybody else. And actually, in round of 4, I was so mad after this. My final time, which I think I used my 150 token extra chance on, was 1/1000th of a second below one of them. And currently me and Uros, I think it is, who are very close for the 4th place spot, are like 25 or so points behind those 3. So unless I'm able to pull out a really good run in 1 or 2 of the upcoming final rounds, I'm not sure I'm actually going to be able to get in the top 3. Now, that doesn't mean I won't be able to get the Jesko, because if I get 4th place, for example, I'll get 35 packs that have have a chance for the key. Now, I do not know what the chance is. If I had to guess, I would say probably about 1 in 100, so I would have a third of a chance to get the Esco, but again, I do not know that. That's just speculation on my part, based on what I think Gameloft would probably do. So even if I do not end up getting in the top 3 for whatever reason, I'll probably get 4th or 5th and get either 30 or 35 of those and have hopefully a pretty good chance of getting the car. Now, obviously, I'm going to try my very best. I've been watching all of the tutorials and runs from people like Afik or Future Flash, or StazRS has a good series of showing how to do runs in great detail, but it always seems that I can pretty much always get a better time in practice than I'm actually able to get in the actual final rounds. I'm sure I'm not the only one, and I think it's just because I'm nervous and I know how important the final rounds themselves are, and the practice is just like, oh, whatever happens, it doesn't really matter. So let me know if you've experienced that as well. I'm sure that I'm not the only one. Good luck to everyone in this event, because as I expected, it is not as easy as the other Grand Prix. I did not expect Gameloft would make it that much, so when I saw that they were going to have a Grand Prix for this car, I knew right away some things were going to be a little bit different, and it came up being that just fewer keys were guaranteed, and that's kind of what I expected from the beginning, so there wasn't a huge surprise there, but I did think it was kind of funny how Tier 1 had still 9 guaranteed keys. Now, granted, only the top 1% of times in the qualifying rounds got into Tier 1 to begin with, but that's still a lot there. But Tier 1, as I've heard, has been plagued with some other problems. The Hot Dog 1 had a couple of hackers in his, and I think they've gotten removed by now, but definitely if you have hackers in your group that might possibly make it so you cannot get the car when you should by the legitimate times, definitely report that with as much evidence as you can get. I mean, if you can get into a situation where you can see their ghost and say they're like using shockwave at the start or accelerating super fast, or however they might be hacking, that would be a really good thing to show. That would be 100% evidence that yes, they are in fact hacking and they need to be cleared from the leaderboards. People have asked me recently when my Max P1 video will be coming out, because I recorded it a while back but have not released it yet. That's because I haven't really gotten a chance where there hasn't been another video that I felt was more important at the time, because I tried to do 3 videos a week and I don't really have a whole lot of time to do more than that. I always try to prioritize the videos that deal with a car or a topic or something that is a very relevant thing at the current time. The kind that might become less useful or interesting if I waited to release it at a later date. But multiplayer videos about cars that haven't changed and have been in the game for a long time aren't really big priorities on that list, because no matter when I release it, it's really not going to affect or be in any way influenced by what's happening in the game at the time. Unless, say, it comes out as part of a special event, for example. I mean, that could happen. But the P1, for example, isn't really a car that I expect that in. So videos like that I save for days that I don't really have some other important video to release at that time. So ones like that, other ones coming in the near future as well, which are older cars but not particularly relevant at the current time, still coming, just not huge priorities, but you can still expect them fairly soon. Now it's time for the final race and my general review about this car. Everything I've seen seems to show that this car is very good in almost every single aspect, with its top speed being kind of mediocre, but everything else being quite good, especially for Class A. It looks very stable, agile, and easy to drive, and I definitely would like to max this car at some point. I don't really see this car being better than the likes of the Huayra or Aperta or Genti or even the 1890, but I do see it being one of the best cars in its class. But if you have any of those other ones maxed, honestly, this one probably won't be a particularly useful one if packs do come back for it in the future. So although it's a really good car from what I can tell, basically, I don't really see it being particularly useful, and your tokens are probably better spent elsewhere. If I were to compare this car to a car in another class, for example, I might compare it to, say, the Pininfarina of Class C, which is a really great car, fun to drive, good in multiplayer, but not a king of its class anymore. Like, it's still really close to the top, but it's not really king on any tracks. That's kind of how this car feels for A class. Thank you to Rev Chaudhry for these races. Thank you all for watching. Please like the video if you've enjoyed, and consider subscribing for more Asphalt and other games content. And I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye!